Greetings everyone, my name is Etterville, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Mega Maker. During the last part, I covered 4 viewer submitted levels, as well as 1 extra. So in this part, I'll start out by covering 1 viewer submitted level that was supposed to be in the last part but I missed it, as well as 5 levels on the most popular queue. So let's begin. First level on the lineup is Crystal Code Mk2 by Meccirius, 12 plays and a score of 5. As the title suggests, this is the second edition of Crystal Code. The main gimmick of that stage was count bombs indicating a code for progressing forward towards the stage, and a crystalline background or aesthetic. This time though we have ice physics, I see, I don't remember that being there, and the graphics or tileset was a bit different. Now, as usual, if you want one of your levels to be featured in a future part like this one, please leave the level name or preferably the level ID in the comment section below, or direct message me on Twitter. Also, the full disclaimer of this entire LP series is also linked in the description below. So far so good, we're introducing all the Pukapellis and the Tadahos pretty well. The Tadahos being the pop-up cannons. We also have access to a whole bunch of special weapons, like the Perfect Freeze, which didn't exist in the first iteration of the stage. This stage never actually had a water segment before either. In fact, we have the Croakers too now. I probably should be using the Perfect Freeze more often, considering how useful it is. Especially against smaller enemies because of how spammy it is. Oh yeah, I also totally forgot I need to pay attention to the sides of the room, because the count bombs on each side indicate what the code is. Like in this case we have a 4, but I'm not sure what the earlier one was because I overlooked it. You know, after playing MkII 2, I really wish I had the energy balancer by default, because that makes it a lot easier and more convenient to restore weapon energy. And on that note, because I'm running a concurrent MkII 2 LP series, updates for Mega Maker will be more sparse, unfortunately. So only 1 or 2 updates per week. My apologies. But don't fret, I will always at least have some update for Mega Maker coming out. Okay, 4.8. But I'm really looking forward to the 1.1 update for Mega Maker, hopefully adding a lot more new enemies and gimmicks and maybe even the introduction of mini-bosses. I already have a hint that they're going to be introducing the needle cannon as well as the oil slider, so that'll be neat. Oh, we have split pathways it seems. That's neat. Let's see where this leads up to. Oh, it's just an E-tank. This kinda reminds me of the room in Cloudman's stage from Mega Man 7. What with collecting the rush letter. So we have 4.8. Be careful of the ceiling spikes as well. But as usual, just like the original Crystal Code, this feels like a traditional Mega Man stage. There's a nice introduction of enemies, gimmicks, and challenges, and there's a steady progression. That being the gimmick being the code over there and the crystals. Although this time, instead of having a more crystalline background like last time, we instead have ice physics, and it's a little bit more difficult in comparison. And there probably should have been a checkpoint over there, but oh well, I'll skip ahead. Okay, I'm back to where I was. I retract my earlier statement of saying there should have been a checkpoint nearby. This has a checkpoint placement that's similar to the classic Mega Man titles from the NES, so I guess it's justified. So instead I'll just damage boost. That way I won't get skewered into the ceiling. It's just at one segment, so I'm not going to complain about the stage doing that. After all, it's relatively fair and it's just me forgetting not being precise enough. Okay, so I believe the numbers were 483. And I was right. And here's the checkpoint, it was just ahead. Also, another thing I liked what the developer did is put all these life and energy pickups. Those are really appreciated. Well, I have nothing else to say about the stage other than the fact that it has a nice enemy and gimmick introduction, good challenge progression because now this part of the stage is harder. Gimmicks like the falling platforms and the bomb codes are being introduced pretty well, and I do like the aesthetics. And it's a nice fair challenge as well. Certainly a little bit more challenging than the classic NES titles on average, but still fun. So I will definitely give this stage a thumbs up. It's definitely a 7 out of 10 or an above average stage. It would fit nicely in Tier 5 or Tier 6 of MkII, I think. Okay, we have a 1. I wonder if there's an alternate pathway we can take on the right. Oh yeah, okay. 1, 5. I wonder what that led up to. Oh, this is the split pathway. By taking the left one, the more dangerous one, we get an extra M-tank. Fine with me, I suppose. Gotta be a little bit careful here so we don't end up falling in the pit. Especially with all the Pukapellis, it can be quite dangerous. At least we have the Mega Man 5 charge shot, so it'll never be lost. That's really appreciated. I'll ignore the left side and I'll just progress on forward. Now let's see if I remember the code. Well, I know that the code in the middle had 1, so it's the left route. If we weren't successful, we would be taken back in this stage and we had to repeat the segment and relearn the code. But alas, after 2 sections of those code breaking or code memorization, we're at the boss fight. I think we're at the boss fight or nearing it, based off the boss doors. Yep, we're at the boss fight, falling down here. I wouldn't mind a stage that takes this gimmick further and makes this a bit harder. That'll be fun. 137. Oh, and these teleporters take me to the other side of the room with the corresponding number. That's neat. Nice idea, actually. I wouldn't mind playing through a stage that takes this gimmick and makes it a bit harder. That would definitely be fun to play through. I'm gonna use an E-tank just to be safe. Come on, jump towards me. I was worried there was a bottomless pit over there, but thankfully there isn't. Thank goodness. That's why I didn't want to delve down here. But overall, just as I said 2 times already, great enemy and gimmick introduction, nice usage of the tile set and background, and a nice challenge progression, good checkpoint placement, and a fun gimmick. So overall, I give this a thumbs up. Good work, Meccirius. Now, as promised, it's time to play some levels from the most popular queue, or rather the most popular sorting. This would be equivalent to the Hot tab in Reddit. Okay, let's start up with the first one. Aim buys the World, 124 plays and a score of 45. All of these levels are guaranteed to be high rating, and they're guaranteed to also be rather recent, in contrast to stuff like the top rated ones. So I presume all of these are going to be pretty good as well. Well, I see why this is called Aim, because we have to use our Crash Bomb and aim it properly. We have a lot of the Gemini Man tile set, I suppose. Or is it Crystal Man? No way of getting Oh. Okay, this teleports and resets this enemy, I see. I need to hit the Crash Bomb at just the right point so it gets close enough to the party ball, so it detonates it and completes the stage. This felt like the prelude to a full stage, like a tutorial, so I would like to see this taken further. But it's a nice little prototype for a gimmick that can be fleshed out further, so for that alone I'll give it a thumbs up. But I would like to see it expanded further. I would love to play a Crash Bomb aiming stage. This was like a gimmick-based stage, but as I said, it's like a prototype for one. Next up is Westworld Shine by Atomic Man, 65 plays and a score of 25. And this seems to be a longer stage based off of the rather longer loading times. Let's see what weapons we have. Okay, we have access to the Shine and limited usage of the Mega Buster. Okay, we started with 9 E-tanks and only 1 M-tank. I really wish we had 8 W-tanks in this engine so we would have 9 refills. Or storing more than 1 M-tank, that would be nice. Then again, that would make the M-tank kind of broken. So we need to use our M-tank, we need to use our Shine in order to survive through the stage, I suppose. And deflect all the enemy projectiles. And I guess I know the reason why it's called Westworld. Because it's a desert area. I was hoping there were some secrets up there. Let's see. Nope, there's nothing to the right. I was really hoping there would be some E-tanks or something. There's a cactus, I suppose. I do like most of these enemies are projectile based so we can get our feet wet by using the Shine. But I suppose it's gonna get harder later on when we start encountering enemies who try ramming into us. And the level author was rather generous in terms of life pickups. I wonder what's up here. Well, I don't really need any more E-tanks because I reached the limit. And now we're in Top Man segment. Okay, now we have enemies who melee us, like the... whatever those enemies are called again. I know I learned this in the second part of MkII, but now I forgot. I keep calling them Yamassees, but in reality they're a different type of enemy. Maybe I'll learn that in the future. Or rather, I probably should just enter the Mega Man wiki and search up Mega Man 5 and see what the enemy is called. After all, Mega Maker has a lot more limited selection of enemies in comparison to MkII, which I find rather odd, but oh well. I guess they had a smaller dev team. I mean, the level or enemy selection in comparison to MkII is rather Spartan. There are a lot of enemies missing, I would say. Wow, I didn't realize that it was going to crush me there. Gotta be a little bit careful in that regard, I suppose. Especially because I don't want to get knocked into the spikes. And most of these enemies aren't that bad, actually. So far, I suppose. This could have been a lot more worse when we had a lot of tight spike jumps or something. In fact, the level author is extremely generous in terms of the E, M tanks, and life pickups. Especially with the Shine and enemy in level difficulty, I don't think we need that many E tanks. Probably 1 would be necessary. 1 at minimum, probably. I mean, we don't need this large life capsule here because we already had all those 3 extra lives. Maybe if this was like a traditional Mega Man stage, where we had a limited set of lives, it would make more sense. But not here. That was a little bit glitchy for some reason. Oh wow, wow, that was scary. Gotta be a little bit careful so I don't get stun locked. Thankfully the arrows on the right told me to slide to the right. Really appreciate that. Whenever I get on those up and down platforms, I always get really wary, or rather the Sparkman platforms, because of my past bad experiences of getting smashed into the ceilings. And awfully glitchy behaviors. Well, I suppose this is a boss fight. Against Metal Man, but of course he's a projectile-only Roadmaster, so we can block his shots fairly easily. And of course he also suffers a Metal Man syndrome, as I expected. We could have also just run into him and used the Shine against him, but this is more fun. Well, this was a nice traditional Mega Man stage that was focusing more on gimmicks, I would say. It was a special weapon focused gimmick based stage by using just the Shine, but we could have gone past it by using the Mega Buster outside of certain segments, so I really wish this stage focused a bit more on the Shine's special uses. Maybe extending your jump distance, that would be neat. But it was still well designed, so I will give this a thumbs up. 6 out of 10 at least. At least for me in terms of fun. Alright, fourth on the lineup is Mach Tornado Takes Flight by Jonahzgo. 79 plays and a score of 18. So far, I like all the levels, some more than others, I suppose. Okay, now we have another gimmick-based stage, and we have only the Mach Tornado, or rather the NATO. And of course, because I can quick weapon switch, I can infinitely reset my NATO. And by doing so, I get a free E-Tank. Do I skip past the stage? Oh no, I just get sent to the left. But now I have infinite usage of the NATO, so I can circumvent a lot of these challenges. So I don't know why we want to go down here, but okay. I guess we get hit by the projectiles. As long as I can quick weapon switch, I have infinite flight. If the Mach Tornado didn't have infinite weapon energy, this would be a lot more limited and I wouldn't be able to do as much of my infinite flying. But here, I have infinite usage, so no problems. I wonder if the stage designer actually took this into consideration that the player could have infinite usage of the NATO. I don't think so, but judging by the jumps you can make here. Like, I can make all these jumps in precision areas with ease, with just one tornado. So having multiple of them or infinite pretty much breaks the stage. Especially in segments like here where you need to reset your jumping. Let's go down here and... okay. Guess that may be an alternate route or something. Or that's there just for show. And the stage ends right over here. I was expecting it to get a bit harder. And the only time I really took damage from the stage was actually during the boss fight. Makes sense, really. Okay, and his hitbox is a little bit odd, it seems, especially combined with the Mach Tornado. But this weapon really decimates Nightman, especially when he jumps. It's like the perfect counter to him. Well, I guess this was a nice gimmick-based stage, but having infinite usage of NATO really breaks it, so... really an average-based stage, even without the NATO, and I would have liked if there were more enemies who can deal with the NATO usage of the player. Perhaps more precise movement or specialized movement. For that reason, I won't give this a thumbs up. Sorry, Jonah. I still like the stage, but not as much as the previous ones. Fifth on the lineup is Parkour Jump and Dash with the Charge Power by SrBubler. 83 plays and a score of 18. Well, the stage doesn't have a boss and it already explained what the gimmick is. We basically need to use the jumping and charge kick abilities. And there's spikes everywhere, so we gotta be careful. Especially when stuff like that happens. If I jump at the wrong time before I flash, I immediately lose my momentum, as you can see there. But yeah, if you're really skilled, this stage becomes quite easy, especially if you master your air jumping properties. I swear there's something on the left, but I don't want to take a risk. What does that say? Shot. I guess it's telling us to use the Mega Buster to shoot it. Well, this was a nice... this kind of felt like a training stage for using the charge kick, as well as its air sliding properties and air jumping properties. So, I wish there were some enemies to make this a bit more challenging and more stuff to dodge, because the stage felt rather static, and once it got high enough, there wasn't really any dangers of dying, so... yeah, if there was something more to the stage, I would give this a thumbs up. But right now, this feels like a training stage for newbie players. Sixth on the lineup is Mega Smash Bros. By TLRobot, 53 plays and a score of 17. Well, this is a rather short stage, I suppose. Okay, we have the Smash Bros. Arena, classic I suppose. I never really played Smash Bros., so I can't really tell. But I know this arena shape. And now we have to fight... well, Sparkman. Let's see what his weakness is. Okay, Firestorm. This would have been a lot more fun if we had the Smash Brother physics, I suppose. This would have been a lot more fun if we could code in the Smash Brothers percentile-based damage stuff, where as you take more damage, your knockback increases, and eventually you can knock back either Sparkman or the player off the arena, maybe in the MkII engine. Because the stage was rather short, I'll do at least 1 or 2 more stages. In fact, most of the stages in this part outside of Westworld Shine and Crystal Code Mk2 are rather short. 7th level is Sandy Grounds Part 1 by Styx, 41 plays and a score of 14. And judging by the loading times, my wish has been granted. This will be a longer stage. And by the description it says it's part 1, so if I have time I'll do part 2 as well. Might as well complete the set. That is, as long as part 2 exists. Okay, nice introduction onto the Mets, the Skeleton Joe, and those Podons. Those enemies who drop their heads. Only have access to the Mega Buster and sliding, so... And we have the Mega Man 5 charge shot, good. So it's a traditional Mega Man level, true and true. Thank you. It's nice to play one of those every so often. Oh, that was a little bit of a close jump there. I know there are broken ladders at the bottom, but I suppose they're for less skilled players. Or for players who don't make the jump. This is one of those places where I really wish there was a... Okay, there's a checkpoint there, thank you game. I was going to ask if there was a checkpoint nearby or some life pickups. I was half expecting there to be an E-tank, judging by the indents into the wall. I see the trick over there, I'm not gonna fall for that. I still took quite a bit of damage though, unfortunately. Unfortunately, the RNG is not really in my favor, because I really need a life pickup. Well, the spike placement is relatively on the easier side. It's just for players who don't pay attention, really. Oh, thank you for allowing me the damage booster there, Skeleton Joe. Thank you, I have some life pickups. I'm going to bypass fighting the big eyes because I don't have enough damaging weaponry. You know what, I'm going to restart at the checkpoint here because I know I'm going to die near the next checkpoint, especially with my low health and how the stage difficulty is escalating. If there's one thing about the stage, I would say that the stage layout feels a little bit flat, more on the flat side, but it isn't too bad. The most of the challenges here, outside of the first segment, are enemy-based. Sure, now we have platforming segments here with all the spikes, but before it felt like it was just fighting mostly enemy gauntlets. Here I'm damage boosting all the time because I'm not sure if I can make these jumps. I'm always very wary of making these jumps after a lot of failed attempts in other levels. Especially through ceilings and walls like this. And the camera unlocked, I noticed that. Let's see what the upper route has to offer. Yeah, falling down into there is instant death because of all the spikes. A little bit getting rushed by those shield attackers. But by taking the upper route, we finally get our first large weapon pickup of the stage. Well, actually the second, but actually our first E-tank. But this was the harder route after all. Yep, definitely this was the harder route. If there's one improvement to the stage, I would say to make the terrain less flat. At least for the first parts of the stage, first few segments after the first platforming segment. The latter segments were fine, especially when we entered that mountain. And now time to fight Fairman with just the Mega Buster and an E-tank. And he's not weak against the Mega Buster. At least I have the Mega Man 5 charge shot, so that should make it a bit easier. And that was the end of this desert stage. Whatever the sandy stage was called. My apologies. It was a little bit more of a generic title. Yeah, Sandy Grounds Part 1. It was fun, but it kinda got dull. The first part was fun with the platforming segment, as well as the mountain climbing and the last, rushing through the enemies, but for the most part of the stage felt like an enemy-based challenge, and I really wish there was more parts like the mountain, so the terrain didn't feel as dull. Let's see, is there a part 2? No, there isn't, unfortunately. Well, let me cover at least one more stage. 8th and final level in this part is Dr. Stephenson Castle Stage 1 by Scottman DSN58. 29 plays and a score of 14. So Dr. Scott number 58? I wonder if that's a reference to something. Well, this is going to be a fortress-based level, so of course we have all the special weapons based off of that. And because of that, I probably should be using my special weapons. I'll try using the Fair Shot a little bit more because I've been underutilizing it throughout this LP. I just find there are other weapons that are better than it, I suppose. And of course, this is a fortress level, so I won't fault the creator for forcing us to use Rush. I see you there. I still got hit by you. It somewhat blends in with the red background. That's an odd place for an M-Tank, but I won't complain, I suppose. If there's another thing I would like to have added to this engine or game, it would be a damage pickup or pop-up like in Mega Man Super Fighting Robot and MkII. That's really useful for figuring out which weapon works better against certain robot masters, and especially enemies. I'm not sure why the Mach tornado is shown over here. There's no need to break through it after all. Well, I suppose it is used for skipping that enemy. Okay, and for this one we need to use the Mach tornado, never mind. Or of course we could use Rush Coil. That's a rather odd placement for a boss tour, but oh well. This stage is really focusing on fire-based gimmicks, especially with all the fire bars. And now we fight Napalm Man. This felt like a shorter fortress-based level if you were to ask me, or castle level. It would go on for 1 or 2 more segments if you were to ask me. And I really wish there was one more fire-based gimmick like lava or something, but that isn't part of the engine yet, I suppose. And the fight against Napalm Man was trivialized by the Metal Blade, but I suppose it would be much harder if we just relied on the Mega Buster. Then again, if Napalm Man got stuck against the terrain, it wouldn't be too bad. Well, I don't know what to say about this. I'll be generous in this one and give this a thumbs up. It's 5.5 out of 10 in my book. It's somewhere between average to above decent, or somewhat decent, so I'll give it a thumbs up in that regard. If there was more focus on the lava-based or fire-based gimmicks, add 1 or 2 more sections, I'd like this more. Well, I covered 8 levels in this part, so in summary, I'd say my favorite levels of this part would probably be Crystal Code Mk2, as well as the stage that was the Shine stage. Or yeah, West Shine stage. Although, first I'm going to start with West Shine in reverse order. West Shine, or whatever it was exactly called, was a pretty fun gimmick-based level which nicely utilized the Shine ability. Although I wish it was a bit harder and had more usages showcasing how far you could take the Shine, because for the most part you can get by the stage by just using the Mega Buster. And it was overly generous if you were to ask me. We didn't really need 9 E-Tanks. As for Crystal Code Mk2, I enjoyed it for its nice progression of introduction of level gimmicks, enemies, and difficulty progression, all of which was pretty fun, and I did like the aesthetics, and I did like how it improved over Crystal Code Mach 1. In fact, I think Mach 2 is a improvement over Mach 1. It's certainly more challenging, especially with the ice physics and some of the spike placements, but overall it was pretty fun, and it was about the same length as a traditional Mega Man stage, with 2 sections utilizing the gimmick. So overall, I like those 2 stages, and I would give an honorable mention to Take Aim, although it's more of a placeholder or experiment or prototype for a future stage, so take my honorable mention with a grain of salt. So in the next part, I'll probably be covering a bunch of viewer submitted levels. Well then, thanks for watching and have a nice day. Toodles!